Alrighty, everybody. Hello. Good evening. I hope everyone's had a great weekend so far. I am wave meteorologist Jessica Dobson with a check of your forecast, and we have some different things to talk about than what we've been talking about through the last couple of weekends. Severe weather has really been the big culprit of all of our active weather the last couple of weekends, I guess you could say. So some different things are going to be impacting us this week, I guess you could say. So here, I'll begin though with a beautiful look outside. The sun literally just went down a few moments ago. And if you're watching, feel free to leave a comment with any sort of questions you might have, questions or where you're watching from. If you just want to shout out, today was such a beautiful day. Tomorrow it will look nice, just won't feel as nice, right? So there's always something. It's state fair season, so that means state fair weather, which is always sweltering, but this year especially so. Okay, so here's that gorgeous sunset we have underway right now. We have seen a lot of that wildfire smoke, so that is contributing to some of the beautiful colors we have. Temperatures right now, most of us are in the 70s with the exception of Louisville, Muhammad Ali International. We have temperatures right around low 80s. Looks like a couple of you guys are tuning in. Very exciting. How many weeks will the heat dome last? We'll talk more on all that in a moment. It does look like there is a potential end in sight. Starting to get a little more confident about that, but we'll talk more on that in a moment. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because the rest of tonight it's going to be really beautiful. Enjoy the pleasant temperatures dipping down into the 60s once again. A lot of us this morning made it down into the 50s. It was beautiful. It was what I said this morning. It was like I could almost smell the pumpkin spice. It was close. I actually did. Olivia Russell and I did get pumpkin coffee on our little break in between the shows. So that was actually my first so far of the season, which I'm very curious. I don't mind drinking pumpkin even year round. I just think it tastes good. I know a lot of people try to save it. I don't necessarily eat pumpkin pie, but pumpkin coffee to me tastes good. It's kind of like hazelnut or whatever. So yeah, that is what I was talking about earlier. But temperatures tonight, they are going to fall down into the mid 60s, within the metro at least, low 60s for outlying areas. Okay, so here is what we're looking at in terms of the forecast for tomorrow. State fair weather opens at 10 a.m. and I have a feeling those exhibit halls will be very busy with people trying to escape the heat and get some air conditioning. Temperatures tomorrow, it's going to be a hot, dry day, but still kind of humid. A high of 93 is what I have for the metro so far. It could go up a degree or two, but 93 is what I'm leaning towards right now. But all in all, it's going to be dry. It will look nice. Plenty of sunshine, but it's going to be a toasty one. And we've already got an excessive heat watch. I know, right? Kind of an eye roll. Like, here we go. We can't just have a normal, quiet week around here, right? We either have to deal with the storms, the heat, or we don't even want to talk about what we have to deal with during the wintertime. But yeah, we have that excessive heat watch in place. Begins Monday afternoon. That's when temperatures are going to approach the dangerously hot levels. This will last all the way through at least Thursday at 11 o'clock at night. And Friday is going to be very much up in the air because depending on the timing of when we could see our next possible front, that could either, if it's a little later, it could mean temperatures are on the hotter side. If it's a little earlier, it means Friday could be cooler. So all these are factors we're watching. But regardless, looks like most areas, really most areas east or west of 65, you're included in this, along with a couple of counties. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by y'all's comments. Along with a couple of counties east of, oh my gosh, my directions. Can you tell I've been up for a long time? I have not had much sleep. Along with areas east of I-65, mainly in Indiana, though, with the exception of Oldham County and Trimble County, it looks like. But, okay, got sidetracked there for a second. Just bear with me. We're going to talk about the heat and how hot it gets. Back to school forecast for Monday. JCPS students are going back to school. All students are, I believe it's high schoolers who are included in this now. So everybody's going back. And Monday, yeah, we have that excessive heat watch already for Monday, and it's going to be hot, mid 90s. for afternoon highs. So by the time the kids are heading home on the school bus, we're looking at temperatures in the low 90s at least. So make sure the kiddos have lots of water as they're heading to the school bus stop. Just make sure they're taken care of, and make sure they have what they need in order to stay cool and healthy and safe. All those things with the buses especially. But if you have to ride the bus, so just remember sweating so bad when I was riding the school bus growing up, which is why I say that. And especially when they're getting off the school buses, if they have to walk home, just make sure they're taking it easy. Hitting the microphone here. Okay. Before I get into the heat this week, sorry, I'm like reading all of your all's comments. We have someone tuning in from New York. Wow. Hello, Ivan. We have Margaret Smothers tuning in. Hello to you, Margaret. She says, have a great weekend. I hope you do too. Johnny Haven says, I'm one of the rare few that likes rain. It keeps the sun away and the heat down. Oops, I did not mean to start that. I don't know why I did that. He says, when are we going to get more rain? We'll talk a little bit about that. Nancy says, next Saturday weather, going to have a get together for my family. Ooh. And then David says, good evening, nice day in last weekend in Shepherdsville. Nice day in last weekend in Shepherdsville. Okay, sorry. Obviously, I'm really good at reading this evening. That's a joke. But okay, the heat, that's the big story. This won't be a terribly long update for us just because it's pretty quiet outside the heat. We will take it. I don't want anyone to get too worked up about the heat. Obviously, it's going to be dangerous for anyone who, like the elderly, children, pregnant women too, especially. You got to be careful of these kinds of things. Mid 90s through Tuesday, upper 90s by Wednesday and Thursday, potentially approaching the 100-degree mark. Yep. Don't love saying that. Not ideal, but that's going to be the possibility. We also have the humidity that's going to be a factor, really closer to midweek. Monday won't be horrible. 66 will be our dew point. Tomorrow, the dew points are going to be relatively low. It's going to be pretty dry for tomorrow. Already have people saying ready for fall, according to Wanda. I don't know. I'm a big summer gal. Love the long days, lots of sunshine. There's always so many things happening. Don't get me wrong, fall is like that too. But I love summer. Everyone's just in a good mood. The kids are out of school. It's always really fun. Okay, I do want to talk about Hurricane Hilary because if you have not heard, if you've been living under a rock maybe, or if you're not a crazy weather fanatic like some of us are, myself included, we have Hurricane Hilary. It has been downgraded, but I use that word with caution because the winds have downgraded, the winds have weakened as they expected to do so, the impacts are still going to be critical for Southern California. This is a very populated part of the country. They're already beginning to see some of that moisture and the rain filter in the area. They're going to get potentially a year plus amount of rain. I mean, we're talking up to a half of a foot, if not more, close to 9-10 inches for some spots. That is a lot of rain for an area that typically sees like 3 inches of rain a year. Yeah, not ideal. Really hoping everyone is going to stay safe, is heeding the warnings and doing what they've got to do to make sure they're going to be and safe from this storm. It's not going to make landfall as a hurricane. It will likely be a tropical storm, and it will likely be just south of California along the Mexico coastline. Regardless, the impacts will likely remain the same. It is moving at a pretty quick pace at 17 miles per hour. That's pretty fast for any sort of tropical system. Usually they range much slower from like 5 to 10 miles per hour. So 17 is pretty efficient. That will be, as long as it keeps up that pace, that will definitely help things when it comes to it not moving super slowly, because it can dump even more rain if it does that. So it's already going to be a big rain producer. And I think that's something that's discounted a lot when it comes to tropical systems, even if they're only tropical storms. The wind is not the main culprit a lot of times. It's the storm surge, which really it's going to more so be the heavy rain. We're talking tropical rain over a part of the country that does not see tropical weather like at all. So big deal that this is happening. I never want to hype anything up, but I just want to make sure everyone's being careful and understand that this is a very rare occurrence that we don't see very often. And really hoping everyone's going to stay safe and is listening to officials and the meteorologists on the West Coast. And if you need to evacuate, things like that, hopefully they're doing that because they have tropical storm warnings. I believe it's the first time in, I want to say either LA or California history. I can't remember exactly which one, but that is just wild. You do not see that very often. And you'll see that it does make landfall as a tropical storm. But again, the rain is going to be what bring the most impacts because when it comes to the category of a hurricane, it's dictated by the wind speed. The rain does not play into that. And there's lots of discussions about, how we should maybe change that as meteorologists. But regardless, what you need to know is going to be a lot of rain for an area that does not see a lot of rain at all. I mean, there's so many songs about how it never rains in Southern California. I can think of like 3 off the top of my head. So yeah, just really be thinking of everyone across Southern California, Eastern or Western New Mexico as well, because they're going to be feeling the brunt of this storm. And I mean, the tropics, even across the Atlantic, oh my gosh, it's like we flipped a switch. We now have Tropical Depression 6. You'll see that there. 70% chance of development for the one in the center of your screen. So essentially, the brighter the shades of oranges and reds, the higher the chance of development. And most of this is going to be taking place over the course of the next week. Over the next 7 days is when we have the better chances of development. A lot of these are still going to be pretty far out in the Atlantic, but they could start to chip away at our names on our list. And I forgot to add the list of the names, of course, naturally. But I do want to point out this one in the Gulf. We've got to watch that pretty closely, this disturbance. It's going to be moving through the central Gulf, potentially close to the coast of Texas. Anything in the Gulf this time of year, we always want to be watching it very carefully, not only for our neighbors down south, but obviously can affect our forecast a lot of times too. We've seen that more times than we can count, really. So that's what's going on in terms of the tropics. You're probably going to hear us talk about both HILARY and all of these potential waves. They're called tropical waves that we see that will likely bring us some headlines, I guess you could say. Big stories this week. Okay, but we want to talk about when the heat ends. If you're wondering, looks like sometime Friday, Saturday, we'll start to see some changes. We finally get out of this pattern. It's a lot of times really tough to escape these kinds of patterns. We have just this large dome of high pressure and a ridge of high pressure. It's just keeping most of the country, really across the central U.S., hot and dry. We stay rain-free through at least Thursday, if not all the way through Friday. Potentially could see some showers late Friday night into early Saturday. You'll see temperatures do start to fall back down into the mid-80s by next weekend. So listen, I like the rain-free forecast. I don't want the dangerous heat, obviously, but it is nice to have a weekend without severe weather. I will say that much. Or even just the risk of severe weather, storms, whatever it might be. Even for next weekend, it's still going to look mostly dry at this point. We'll, of course, be watching that. But okay. I don't think we have too many other questions. I don't mean this as a pun, a cut and dry forecast. Just make sure you're staying cool. Check on your loved ones, your friends, your neighbors, the elderly. Make sure they're doing okay. Make sure your pets are not being left outside in this kind of heat. Take lots of breaks when it comes to exercising or any sort of strenuous activity. If you work outdoors, especially if you're gardening, try to garden things that you can control. Do that earlier or later on in the day when the temperatures are cooler. But okay, that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna get some dinner, hopefully. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday night and have enjoyed this beautiful day so far. We will have more news and weather coming up tonight at 11. It has been a crazy news cycle, I feel like, lately. So hopefully at least we'll have some quiet-ish weather to talk about for you. But okay, I'm hopping off here. Have a great rest of your Saturday night. We'll see you tonight.